All right, we are recording. We're back for episode 6, I think we're at, of Brand Experience Live. My name is Ashley Vida, and I'm joined today by Laga Lemoyk, my amazing co-host. So Brand Experience Live, for those who have never joined us before, or you've only joined us for a couple of episodes, what we do here is we find and dive into the brands that are giving unrivaled brand experience in the areas of either candidate experience, employee experience, prospect experience, buyer experience, and investor experience. And sometimes we're also joined by those who are building really great communities around them to make a difference in the community. And that's what we're doing today. So I'm so excited to get started, Lagla.
Yeah, me too. Well, hello everyone, and Ashley, so nice to have you back this week. So
Yes.
welcome back. We missed you
Yes.
last time,
I missed you guys so much.
Oh, brilliant. But yeah, today will be really interesting topic. So our guest is actually Sandy Toneman. And Sandy, hey Sandy. And Sandy is actually a co-founder of Vida Rescue in Mexico and an angel animal rescue for abandoned dogs, and focused on empowering creating this fostering experience through powerful community experience. So Sandy, obviously, it's a super mission-based activity experience what you're doing, obviously the work. So we want to find out everything about it. But first of all, let's dive into, and you can tell us more who you are and what you do, actually. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. I feel like we're the blonde super team today. Girl power. Yes. Okay. So I am, so I got involved in branding and marketing very, very young. I got involved in advertising. That was my career. That's what I studied. And that's the professional path I chose. So I've been doing it. Yay. But I got started when the internet was just starting, guys. Like I was building websites. That was the biggest thing back then.
That was my first thing too.
Yes. So it's been 20 years. It's been 20 years. Oh my goodness, so much has changed. But no, I worked in the corporate world in different advertising agencies from San Francisco to Amsterdam, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro. And I ended up in Mexico recently for personal COVID reasons. And I fell in love with Mexico and made it my home. But just to kind of do an overall snapshot. So working 15 years for the world's best brands, I worked with Nike and Adidas and Target, Electronic Arts, like all these awesome brands. I learned what brand excellence is. And I learned, how important engaging with your fans and building community is. And at one point in my life, I just wanted to do something to give back. So I took a step out of the corporate world and I started doing nonprofit social good projects. Today, we're going to talk about the second one that I've been involved with. So right now, I'm a co-founder of Vida Rescue, like you said. It's an animal rescue focusing on dogs out of Mexico. Playa del Carmen, Mexico is our focus, that whole Maya Riviera region. And it's really exciting. I think once you work in a certain field and you become, I don't know, let's say, not an expert, but you have a lot of knowledge in the field. Yeah. It's important to give back, right? How can you give that back to the community? How can you, apply your professional skill set in a different way? And so that's really what and align it to a passion you have, right? So, and a passion I have is animals, especially dogs. And as anyone who's traveled to a developing country knows, there's lots of animals that are abandoned, neglected, and there's a big need. So that's what I'm up to now. That's it in a nutshell. Yeah.
That's amazing. Actually, I can tell you that when I did that transition from corporate world into also like going solopreneur and starting to work for myself, that was sort of 3.5 years ago. I ended up also in Mexico, and it wasn't your rescue, but there was another actually rescue. And the way I could feel I could give back something was a time with animals. Because I needed love that time, and I needed probably that love as well after coming from, like, I lived in London, very, very harsh corporate world, and I needed sort of like transition time. So I can kind of relate to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And actually, I remember when you started in in Mexico, really, to rescue these dogs, isn't it?
Yep.
So it was kind of early stage, but what you do now is obviously different level. So tell us about, obviously, going from corporate world, something so personal now. How easy was to make that transition for you,
It was easy because I felt that I knew how to kind of start a project, right? After starting so many big scale projects, starting a project like this wasn't that daunting. However, I didn't realize how much work it would be because this is all volunteer. This is on the side, right? Myself and the other co-founder, we both have other jobs and do other paid work. So what I wasn't prepared for was doing this work-life balance of nonprofit and yeah, in the rest of your life. So I wasn't really
I feel like it's that way though with anything,
Yeah.
like whether it's a nonprofit or it's a for-profit business. Once you go from someone else paying you to you now being responsible for everything and making your own way, it's like a night and day. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't talk about enough, is that we glamorize this whole like solopreneur, I'm going to start a nonprofit or I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see more people talking about it, but I don't think it's talked about enough how hard it is and how yucky it could be and how daunting it could be to go from like, okay, I go to work every day, 9 to 5, I get my paycheck, I do my responsibilities, I go home, I live my life, and then I'm good, and then I just do it the next day. Right. No, when you're responsible for a business, it's like 24/7.
It's 24/7. And then I guess I would just add on that we're rescuing dogs in serious situations of abuse and neglect that need immediate attention. Yeah. Right. So it's this level of stress of kind of first aid emergency care also, which I wasn't really anticipating, but it's very rewarding. So yeah.
So that's amazing, So obviously you kind of had the idea, then you had this plan, did you actually have a strategy in place straight away? This is how we're going to do it? Or is it just sort of evolved throughout the process?
Yes. So when I first landed in that part of Mexico, I started volunteering because I didn't really know what was happening. And so I started volunteering for another woman that does rescue. And I learned from her kind of how she does it, what she does. And I identified what I think works for me and what could be an opportunity in the neighborhood that I live in the community I live in. So taking from that experience, myself and the other co-founder, we decided to create our unique project. So kind of based on what we've learned and what works for us and what we think works in the larger scale. So it was, I guess, light market research or living in the trenches research, right? And what we really wanted to do is because we actually don't have a shelter. We don't have a physical place for the animals. Oh, wow. No, we don't. But we have 112 dogs in foster. So what we identified is the Playa del Carmen region. There's lots of expats. There's lots of tourists. There's lots of people that want to help, but that don't have the ability of adopting, for life, right? Because adopting an animal is more or less a life commitment. So we took an approach that we could really engage with the community and have them participate and be part of the solution. And we found a lot of success in that approach. So
that's amazing. How do you find these people? Like what are you doing to find these people? That's incredible.
We use Facebook a lot, but the majority is word of mouth. So everyone that
Playa is small.
Playa is small, word of mouth. Yes. So we rely on the volunteers and the people that work with us to spread the word. We rely on them we really elevate their voice, I guess is the better way to put it,
That's because, a good way to put it.
Yeah, because I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but working with the Nikes and the Adidas and stuff, it's really the spotlight is your fan. You want that person to love you and to represent you all the time. And if you have that, then it's a success. So we try to do the same thing, is the volunteers are the people that are engaged with us. We want to elevate their voices. So we really encourage them. What is your experience in having a rescue dog as a foster?
Yeah.
They create their own content and they're the ones that are spreading our brand message. It's not really us. We don't do that kind of a job because we don't have enough time. So we really encourage and engage, give them the space to talk about us on our behalf, because that's the most valuable content, really.
Yes.
Is that earned media. Yeah.
That's very, very important. And again, from my own experience, I can tell Playa is a very small community. There are tons of expats. They have obviously very active community Facebook page, and they do events together. So in terms of what I noticed when I actually was during the COVID in Playa as well, 6 months, it's super easy to get involved, like be part of the community more than anywhere else. Like when in London, you don't have community like that, But in Playa, it's somehow these people come with a purpose. They all had either they're retired or they are just nomads now, or very high powered like background, had a life in another country. They come to Playa and then they actually start to live their life. And what the first thing they're looking for is, what can I do for this country? What can I do to give back? And that's what I noticed. And that's where kind of, I think that soft side came out from me as well, saying, what can I do? This country has been incredible to me, that give back, and animals are truly, there are some very, very sad cases. So I think it's a beautiful thing to find these new homes and obviously looking after them and giving them new chance in life. So
yes, we always have this statement, it takes a village to rescue a street dog, because so many people are involved to help them participate. Yeah.
How many people on average would you say are involved in like, the rescuing of one animal, whether that includes foster time or direct adoption?
Wow, I'd say up to 30
really?
for one dog. Yeah. Yeah. Because we have our core volunteers, co-founder and core volunteers. We have the vet, we have the foster, and the foster could be for a week, a month, so dogs often change fosters quite frequently. Then when most of our dogs get adopted in Canada, there's a whole volunteer team in Canada to meet everyone at the airport, to help with the transition, to pick up the dog crate, to drop off the dog crate, to send it back to Mexico. Yeah, it's probably about 30.
Oh my gosh. And so
it takes a village.
Well, I mean, going back to, you saying before that you really focus on elevating the voice of those who are volunteering for you. I mean, this just makes it so much more important because of the amount of hands that are touching this process.
Yeah.
And making sure that, you are creating personal relationships and having personal conversations, because without that, I mean, I feel like, someone getting messed up along the way, right, might completely divulge the mission.
Oh yeah. And we rely on the community so much. I mean, recently when I put a post out, hey guys, help, we get a reply within 10 hours of at least 8 people that I help.
That's amazing.
That's so good. So, and it's because everyone's very much engaged, believes in the cause. They will spread the content for us, spread the post for us. I mean, we've had people that have adopted, write articles in magazines, write newspaper articles, go to their local communities. I mean, it's all about, like elevating the voice of the people that are supporting us, but everyone really believes in the cause. And I don't know if we have time to get into this so much, but in the rescue world, in the dog rescue world in Mexico, there's a lot of bad press. There's a lot of bad rescues that don't act in good faith, that, take advantage, that send dogs that are sick. So having a reputable, honest organization is fundamental. If we're not honest and we don't have integrity, and if we don't stand by our word and do the process and the medical procedures that we say, forget it. All your hard work's out the window.
I think integrity is a big thing for any organization, regardless. But would you say that makes you different, right? What makes you stand out from your competition, so to speak?
Yep, absolutely. And we've had people that adopt with us or volunteer with us say the same thing. They've either had a bad experience with another rescue organization, or rescue organization didn't offer support. We really try, because adopting an animal at the end, when we get to the point where the dog's finally adopted, it's a lifelong commitment. So we want to make sure everyone's set up for success. We're not just handing the dog over and saying, peace, we're out. No, these dogs are our everything. We spent all of this time, energy. So many people are involved that we want to make sure that there's success on all sides. So we do a lot of post-adoption support that other rescues don't do.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
And I guess, and it's also, I guess, a trust thing, because obviously, it's so much trust put into this process, from starting to the end. And you want to make sure also when these dogs are going to their forever homes, I guess you have a very like thorough application process. You're really checking the backgrounds, making sure that these dogs actually fit into that family, isn't it?
Yes. So I've been involved in over 600 dogs now that have been adopted in the past 2 years. Yeah. And we've had to rehome less than 10. So that's great. Yeah, we really try. I mean, the adoption, the interview process is on the phone. I think, Ashley, you were saying the personal relationship, that's everything. I or my co-founder, I manage mostly the adoptions. I have an hour-long conversation with every single person. to really understand if it's the right fit, like you were saying, Lagla, to make sure that everyone's aligned and we're all there to support each other because, because that's the most important part is that personal relationship and, making sure we get content afterwards. How is the dog doing? They could tell their friends and neighbors, people at the school. So we continue to get, repeat business, which is new adopters.
Yeah. And what would you say now? Obviously, we evolve in this digital world. What are your main sort of like communications? Is it through Facebook or any other like medium?
Sure. So most of our adoptions skew to a bit of an older audience. So Facebook is our primary targeting tool. So that's where we promote adoptions. However, where we build more of the community infrastructure in Playa to get fosters, it's WhatsApp.
Okay.
WhatsApp groups are the main, points of contact. We have a few different WhatsApp groups that we manage. Where we create the WhatsApp group and someone says, hey, I found a dog on the side of the road. And another volunteer that's not one of us says, cool, I could help you take it to the vet. So we just kind of create the foundation of these platforms for people to help each other,
It's very humanized experience, isn't it? It's like really hands-on, like everybody like steps up and looks after, everybody has a function in there, it's not just like, oh, there is a dog rescue, but everybody can give something back in that process because it's based, if we wouldn't have these amazing humans, you wouldn't have this amazing, dog rescue business either. So carry on.
Well, I just want to say it's interesting because you see the yin and yang of humanity because we're in an area where there is serious abuse and neglect. I mean, some of the cases are not suitable for this live broadcast, but we see the worst in humanity and we see the best come together. And even though we use a lot of expats and tourists, the majority of our fostering comes from local communities, local families. So it's like we're working with these local families that want to make a difference, want to make a change, but they're also rescuing from local communities. So it's this really interesting, yin yang of humanity that's also something I wasn't really expecting getting involved in the nonprofit world.
Yeah. And sounds like you're the soul, you and your partner are the soul of the business, really. So obviously, if probably you wouldn't have that sort of passion and putting all these hours into it, obviously you said one phone call is like an hour just to interview the family. It's this is just, it's a lot of like love and passion. What would you say is at the moment the main kind of what you would do differently in terms of like, obviously you've been doing now for a while and what would you have done differently and you planning to do differently?
Sure. So I would love to kind of starting the beginning of the conversation, having so much experience in brand strategy, brand marketing. I'd love to apply more of that and further develop social media marketing, further develop fundraising marketing, all these things that I know how to do, but haven't actually had time to do them. Or, better recruit for volunteer staff on that side, right? Our volunteer staff's more on the operational need, less about the marketing need. But as we all know, it's really, really important. So that's an area I'd love to be able to focus on more.
Yeah.
I think that's, just with businesses and organizations in general, that's something that's missed out on when it should be done. And I feel like that's a huge mission of Lagla and I is to flip the script from, businesses and organizations now. And for a long time, they think, okay, business strategy and sales and customer service and operations, and then I'll get to marketing and brand like later on when I have the money or when I have the time. And really it should be, okay, I have my business strategy. Now I have my brand strategy. And then you start going to market with your business. It needs to be reversed. And I feel like there's a lot of organizations that are starting to understand the need of, okay, we really need a brand strategy first after our business strategy, of course. And your brand strategy really directs everything that all the rest of your area, the other business is doing and how you're doing it and why and how each piece works together. And I love the honesty of if I could go back, I would do this first instead of later, because I think that a lot of businesses miss out on that because brand is long-term. And if you don't start now, then it's going to take even longer later on down the road. So thank you for saying that out loud.
Well, I have to hold on. I have to defend a little bit because otherwise what am I doing? But no, what we did agree on was making sure our mission value, external missions and values were communicated and internally, how do we want to work together as a team? We established that and we established the brand visual direction. So we established those core elements. what I want to do more is the the marketing strategy, right? Reaching more people, being able to fundraise, that part. I haven't been able to flesh that part out, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that was actually something with my partners at the beginning. I was like, stop. We need a logo. We need a brand. We need a mission. We need this. Before we do anything, we need this, the basic. But yeah, there's lots of room to add on it. That's for sure.
Yeah, there always is. Yeah. And I think that as you evolve, the needs for that continue to grow, right? Like you're always building guidelines and procedures and, different types of communication, external and internal. And I think that's really important. And I think that what you guys are doing already is really incredible in terms of promoting self-promotion of your volunteers and the community around you, is that really you're acting as the vehicle for them to take control of the mission. And I think that is the really special thing that you guys are doing, or that any brand can do really in general, is to empower your target audience or your internal people, right? It could be either or, external or internal, to drive the mission for you. And you're already doing that. You're doing such an incredible job. And like, no wonder why you've been involved in 600 fosters. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, we have more in foster, but 600 adoptions. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's a lot. Yes. It's very rewarding. Yeah.
And how fluent is that in terms of like a communication from the start process until, obviously, I would say it's obviously end is when the dog goes to home to the forever home. How long is this process sort of like from beginning to the end?
Sure. It really is seasonal. It depends on how quickly a dog gets adopted. So summertime, the adoptions slow down because families are out of town and camping. Around the fall time, adoptions pick up. Christmas time, adoptions pick up. So it depends. But once a dog is adopted to the point they get into Canada, it takes about 2 months, I'd say, or a month, because there's also the operational side that we depend on flight angels to escort dogs into Canada. Otherwise, we don't have a way of getting dogs into the country. COVID really put a lot of restrictions around traveling with animals all around the world, and it's continuing to put more restrictions. So
interesting.
It's all these moving parts, right? So another way where I get to apply my experience in kind of project management and client management is managing all these different parts and all the changes, right? Because there's always a change, always something will happen.
Have you noticed that since you've now been operating for a while and what you do, and you have so many volunteers involved, have you reached out to the bigger organizations, businesses who could be potentially help, in terms of like either support with financially or anything else, dog food, medicine?
Sure. No, but we need to. We do some drives, we'll do some local, go sit in front of Costco or in front of Sam's Club, ask people to buy dog food for us. We do these kind of local initiatives, but from a bigger scale, no, not yet. It's something we want to be able to focus on. Fundraising is a big priority for us in the next handful of months. Because without funds, we can't rescue dogs, because it's always, we have to invest in the medical treatment, and then we get an adoption fee that covers basically a little bit of what it all costs. So we're kind of always running in the negative, right? So a big priority is to do some fundraising and to look for those partnerships, to look who wants to help us, who wants to do content for us. One of the great channels out there, the Dodo. Right? Do you guys know the Dodo? It does all those animal content videos.
Yes.
Yes. So I'd love to get, to a place like that where we're doing these amazing, because we have amazing rescue stories, right? So how can we elevate the rescue stories and things? But we need more hands and more people to help us with that.
Okay. So if you have any people here, listeners, from Dodo, or know somebody from Dodo, then reach out, please.
Or in general, that is really passionate about the mission, then you guys can, you're more than welcome to connect with Sandy. I'm going to put her contact information for LinkedIn. Connect with Sandy on LinkedIn. Send her a message if you're interested in volunteering or getting involved, donating funds. Of maybe an investor or a business or someone else within your community that this is something that they'd be passionate about. Please reach out to Sandy.
Yes, please. And we work a lot with remote help. You do not need to be in Mexico. You could be anywhere in the world. We have people helping us from, London, New Zealand, anywhere. We'll take the help.
Oh, that's amazing. That's good to know. And would you say, is it Canada still the only destination in terms of like forever homes? Are you thinking of expanding it?
We're open to doing any place where we can provide support on the other end. right? So we won't be sending dogs to, let's say, I don't know, New Jersey, because we don't have volunteer staff there to support the entry of the dog and helping the family transition. But we're happy to create those places anywhere there's people, like you're saying, that are passionate. Let's say they live in San Francisco or they live here or there and that want to help us with that kind of arrival support is what we call it. We're happy to expand. Canada is a place because that's where we created the community. That's where the community started when I first started volunteering. And so that's where we're able to build more quickly. But we're open to any place, really open to any place.
Yeah. That's amazing. All right. Well, we have to wrap.
Yes. What a beautiful story.
Yeah, it's incredible. We really appreciate you coming on to share more about your experience personally, professionally, how you got into what you're doing, the mission. Again, I just put up Sandy's contact information up on the screen so you can connect with her. It's also going to be in the comments on LinkedIn. Reach out. If you yourself are interested in being a guest on our podcast, you are a founder or an executive level or a leader in an organization that is providing really great experiences, either for your candidates, your employees, your prospects, buyers, investors, or even your community around you, we would love for you to get in touch with us. We would just be so honored to share your story, just like we shared Sandy's today. And you guys can join us again next Wednesday as well. We're going to be speaking with someone from university who has headed the brand department there. So we get to get like the inside, knowledge on what's going on in universities, what's being taught about brand, how it's going to change the future of brand with, students that are getting ready to graduate. I'm really excited about that. I love Gen Z. I can't wait to hear about it.
Well, it's a good one. I'm actually excited this time because I'm not Gen Z, but I can't wait. I went through that journey myself and it was amazing, so it will be a really interesting topic next week as well. So can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you so much once again. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Sandy, for your time. And thank you for everything you do, obviously. And I mean, these dogs, obviously, even I'm sure they are like so grateful and giving them another chance is amazing,
They are. Adopt, don't shop, everyone.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adios.
Adios.